The next game in the East region brings us number 3, Wisconsin, the runner-up in the Big Ten tournament, and number 14 seeded Montana, the winner in the Big Sky. Montana was the underdog there, took down Northern Colorado in that tournament, the championship game, in pretty convincing fashion, kind of got a comfortable lead in the second half. They have some offense. They have some guys that can play. As we've talked about a little bit on this episode or these podcasts already, I'm pretty high on Montana myself. Not sure that they're going to be able to pull it off here because I think that Wisconsin just has a little bit too much offense and also a little too much size to get on the offensive glass with Crowell, with Winter. I know, if you watch that game against Michigan, even in that game, Wisconsin was able to pick up, I think, 10 or 12 offensive boards. So I'm a little bit concerned about that with this Montana team. But, I do think that Montana has a couple of guys that could get hot and make this game fun. But I think like John Tonje, John Blackwell, they're going to just get it going a little bit too much.
Yeah, this game is probably going to be a shootout a little bit. I think the one thing, Montana has rolling for them is Wisconsin doesn't really turn you over. So I think Montana is going to feel pretty comfortable in this game. Malik Moore, Money Williams at the guard spot, I think are going to feel comfortable enough, and they're really good shot makers. So they could shoot their way into making this game tight late. And we've seen Wisconsin in non-conference at times be a bit vulnerable because of their lack of athleticism. They do have the size advantage in this game. They have the rebound advantage. They should dominate the interior, with Montana ranking 268th in 2-point defense, and that's playing in the Big Sky. Like, this is the Big Sky is typically not a great conference when it comes to playing up against power competition in the tournament. I don't think they've won a tournament game since 2000. I think it's around that range, 2000, 2001. They're like 1-25 in their last.
Eastern Washington got close, right? They
did.
They hung around.
They were up big against Kansas, 3 or 4 years ago?
And that was with the Graves brothers.
Right. And then I think Montana State kept one fairly close against K-State when they had Noel in Tang's first year. They kept it sort of tight, but it wasn't really that competitive of a game. I just don't think this conference has really the right play style to keep it all that close. They don't really look to slow the game down at all. Very offensive centric, and they don't really have the rim protection to create like a stable defensive floor. So overall, I don't think it's like the worst matchup in the world, with this potentially turning into a shot making battle, which creates a lot of variance. But overall, I do think this Wisconsin team is a different team now. Like, they play faster, and their offense is actually really explosive now, which is a bit crazy to say about, Wisconsin teams of the last 5 years. So overall, I do think Wisconsin can win this game by double digits fairly easily, but I guess I wouldn't be shocked if Montana was able to keep it close.
Yeah. For me, it's really the inside presence for Montana that is going to be the issue. Like, their only big man they really play is Tijon Sawyer, pretty undersized big. I remember like the first time I watched him, it was like he kind of has like a Brandon Bass type build. He's like 6'7", 6'8", not like a super athlete. And they look to play through him a lot, kind of in that like mid post area on the baseline. He likes to like back down and try to make a play like he's some point guard, but really he ends up like leading them in turnovers. Seems like one of the games I watched, he turned it over like 5 times as their big man. So like you said, I think that Wisconsin doesn't turn people over very much, but he's a guy that I think could like help them turn the ball over sometimes. He's a little bit careless with it. On the defensive end for Montana, I would expect them to throw Kai Johnson probably on Tonje. A little bit undersized to guard him, I think, but he's a scrappy guy. sounds like he's really their heartbeat. He's going to play really hard. He's going to get all over the floor, be really up in you. But I'm not really sure that's going to matter. I think that, like you said, the pace is going to win out here, and Wisconsin's just going to be just too physically dominant against this Montana team.
Yeah, and even if Tonje gets taken away, I still think Wisconsin has enough weapons, even on the perimeter, to break away in this game with John Blackwell, who's a much improved from his freshman year. He looks like a completely different player, and I guess he showed flashes his first year, but he's improved so much, and he looks like a guy who can be a true lead guard on a good power conference team. So, and then Max Klesmet obviously has been rock solid his entire career. I just think they have a few too many weapons for this Montana defense to be able to cover all areas, let alone even be able to cover John Tonje with whoever guards him. Like, he can get anybody in foul trouble in the entire country. He gets to the line at a stupid rate for a guard. So yeah, I just don't see a ton of paths for this Montana defense to really create any sort of value here.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. But I do think this could be a fun game. Could see a bunch of shot making from both teams and be introduced to Malik Moore and Money Williams. But at the end of the day, it's going to be Wisconsin moving on to the second round.